Hey there pilots, this is Dauntless Sam, and today we'll be looking at the history of the Tupolev TB-3 and its flight characteristics in War Thunder. The Tupolev TB-3 heavy bomber civilian designation Ant-6 was a heavy bomber aircraft which was deployed by the Soviet Air Force in the 1930s and during World War II. It was the world's first cantilever 4-engine heavy bomber. Despite its obsolescence and being officially withdrawn from service in 1939, TB-3s performed bomber and transport duties through much of World War II. The TB-3 also saw combat as a Zevno project fighter mothership and as a light tank transport. In 1925, the Soviet Air Force approached the Central Aerohydrodynamic Institute with a requirement for a heavy bomber with a total engine output of 1,970 horsepower and either wheeled or float landing gear. Tupolev OKB started design work in 1926 with the government operational requirements finalized in 1929. Tupolev TB-1 was taken as the basis for the design, and the aircraft was initially powered by Curtiss V-1570 Conqueror engines generating 590 horsepower each, with the intent of switching to Michelin M17s in production. The mock-up was approved on March 21, 1930, with the first prototype that was completed on October 31st of the same year. The aircraft flew on December 22, 1930, with Michael Gromov at the controls, and with ski landing gear. Despite almost crashing owing to the vibration causing the throttles to close, the test flight was a success. On February 20, 1931, the Soviet Air Force approved mass production of Ant-6s with M17 engines. The prototype was refitted with BMW 6 500 engines of 720 horsepower each, larger radiators, and wooden fixed-pitched propellers of Central Institute design. The single-wheel landing gear was deemed too weak and was replaced by tandem bogies with larger tires. The first pre-production TB-3 4M17 flew on the 4th of January 1932. Unexpectedly, subsequent mass-produced aircraft were found to be 10 to 12% heavier than the prototype, which significantly hampered performance. The discrepancy was discovered to be due to the high positive tolerances on raw materials, which resulted in steel sheet metal pipes and wires being much thicker than on the carefully constructed prototypes. The aircraft were also more crudely painted with a thick layer of camouflage and lacquer. The factories asked workers for suggestions on reducing weight, paying 100 rubles for each kilogram removed from the aircraft. In combination with OKB efforts, this resulted in a weight savings of almost 1,000 kilograms. Despite this, production aircraft could differ from each other by as much as several hundred kilograms. In 1933, a single TB-3 4M17F was streamlined with removal of turrets and bomb shackles, coverings of all openings, and fitting of wheel spats. This resulted in only a 4.5% increase in top speed and a similar increase in range. Tupolev concluded that the streamlining was minimally beneficial for large and slow aircraft. To study the effects of corrugated skin, in January through February of 1939, a single TB-3 4AM-34R had the corrugations incrementally covered with fabric. This resulted in a 5.5% gain in top speed and a 27.5% increase in the ceiling. The same aircraft demonstrated a significant increase in climb rate when fitted with experimental 4-blade propellers. The TB-3 set several flight records, including a flight endurance record of 18 hours and 30 minutes, and several payload-to-altitude records. The TB-3 was an all-metal aircraft of steel construction. The frame was composed of V-section beams covered with non-stressed corrugated skin ranging from 0.3 to 0.8 millimeters in thickness. The corrugations were 13 millimeters deep and 50 millimeters apart. The cantilever wing was supported by 4 tube-section spars. In 1934, thanks to development of stronger steel alloys, wingspan was increased from 39.5 to 41.85 meters, with the corrugated wing area increased from 230 to 234 meters squared. Any part of the aircraft could be walked on in soft shoes without damaging the skin, and the leading edges of the wings swung down to form walkways for engine maintenance. Controls were cable actuated with a variable incidence tailplane and a trim compensation system in case of engine failures on one side. Fixed main landing gear was not fitted with brakes. The fuel tanks did not have fire or leak protection, although the engines had an internal fire extinguishing system. The M17 engines were tuned to provide a maximum theoretical range of 3,250 kilometers, without spark plug or carburetor fouling. Defensive armament consisted of light machine guns in 5 turrets, 1 in the nose, 2 on top of mid-fuselage, and 1 retractable dustbin under each wing between the engine nacelles. Later variants moved one of the top fuselage turrets aft of the tail fin. The TB-3 was used operationally during the Battle of Kokken Gol, and in the Winter War with Finland. Although it was officially withdrawn from service in 1939, at the start of the Great Patriotic War on June 22, 1941, the Soviet Air Force had 516 operational TB-3s, with an additional 25 operated by the Soviet Navy. Stationed far from the USSR's western border, the TB-3s avoided catastrophic losses during the first German airstrike raids. After the first TB-3s from 3rd Heavy Bomber Regiment began flying night bombing missions on June 23rd. Shortage of combat-ready aircraft also required daytime use of TB-3s without fighter escort, and in this role the bombers, operating at low to medium altitudes, suffered heavy losses to enemy fighters and ground fire. By August 1941, TB-3s made up 25% of the Soviet bomber force, and operated by elite Air Force crews, were flying up to 3 combat missions per night. The aircraft participated in all major battles through 1943, including the First Battle of Smolensk, the Battle of Moscow, the Battle of Stalingrad, the Siege of Leningrad, and the Battle of Kursk. On the 1st of July, 1945, 18th Air Army still had 10 TB-3s on the active roster. The TB-3 served extensively as a cargo and paratroop transport, carrying up to 35 soldiers in the latter role. In the first 5 months of the war, the aircraft transported 2,797 tons of cargo and 2,300 personnel. The TB-3 was also used in several special projects as a fighter mothership in the Zveno project, and for delivering light T-27, T-37, and T-38 tanks. On the 1st of August, 1941, a pair of TB-3s in Zveno's SPB configuration, each with 2 Polikarpov I-16 fighters carrying a pair of 250 kilogram bombs, destroyed an oil depot with no losses. On the 11th of August and the 13th of August, 1941, Zveno SPB successfully damaged the King Carol I Bridge over Danube in Romania. Zveno operations ended in the autumn of 1942 due to high vulnerability of the motherships. In recognition of the role the TB-3 played during the war, 3 aircraft were included in the first post-war air parade on June 18, 1945. In War Thunder, there is one premium gift variant of the Tupolev TB-3. It is a Rank 1 heavy bomber with a battle rating of 2.0. It has a maximum speed of 190 km an hour, a turn time of 56 seconds, and a rate of climb of 8.5 meters per second. It is defended by 3 turrets, each with 2 7.62mm DA machine guns, and 2 turrets, each with a single 7.62mm machine gun. The aircraft can be loaded with either 24 100 kg bombs, 12 250 kg bombs, or 4 500 kg and 4 250 kg bombs. The TB-3 is very slow and cannot climb well, making it a very easy target. But if you can get the aircraft to its destination, it can deliver a very large bomb load, especially for its tier. Despite its large number of machine guns, don't expect to do very much damage to attack aircraft with them, as they do not have very much stopping power. I hope that this information has proved helpful. If you liked the video, please do like the video. If you would like to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel, and if you would think anyone else would be interested in this video, don't be afraid to share it. This is Dauntless Sam. Thanks for watching.